Hey, what is up guys? So this was just posted over on the Shonen Jump Twitter page, and they're actually taking votes for the next Shonen Jump card. If you guys don't know what that is, it means that some of these cards we won't get here in the TCG for quite some time. The cards that we're going to be taking a look at, we'll go over their effects because we haven't had a print of them, and a lot of these I haven't even covered. So they're cards that are going to be printed finally in the TCG, so people will have access to them. Even though it's a jump card, they are still legal to be played. It's just the faster that we get some of these cards, the faster you guys can play some of the decks that could use some of these cards. But anyways, let's go and look at all four of the cards, and I'll go ahead and show you guys what I'm going to be voting on. So anyways, the first one is Junk Breaker. So during your main phase, if this card was normal summoned this turn, you contribute this card and negate the effects of all face-up monsters currently on the field until the end of this turn. So it can be good on a lot of different decks. Not every deck needs its normal summon, and on top of that, there's so many cards where it's just like, your opponent can't do this, your opponent can't do this, and you can go ahead and just summon this card, negate everything else, and then, because it's all face-up monsters currently on the field until the end of this turn, and then you can go off, you get rid of, let's say they have like a Quasar plus something else, or, they might have a lot of different things that you want to negate all of them. Obviously, the Quasar would probably negate this, but at the end of the day, it still forces those negations out of some cards. Like Cyber Dragon Infinity, if that card's out there, it's going to have to, of course, negate this. Otherwise, you're just going to go ahead and, negate it. So, yeah, that said, it's a pretty decent card overall. And like I said, not every deck needs a normal summon, so Pendulums can definitely make use of this. Next up, we have the Super Heavy Samurai Swordmaster Musashi. So it's 300 attack, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to be using its defense for the attack anyways, but it's a generic one. But it's when this card is synchro summoned, you get to target one machine type monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. But if you have a spell trap card in your graveyard, you can have normal or special summon monsters with that monster's name for the rest of the turn. This card can attack while in face-up defense position. If it does, apply its defense for damage calc. So it's a decent little card, and like I said, any deck can technically make it, although there's downsides. You can't really make it in a synchro deck as viable because, obviously you want to run cards like Reinforcement of the Army and Tuning and some other searchable cards that search out your stuff. So I don't know how viable this will be in other decks, but I mean, it is supposed to be super heavy samurai card. So this card is very, very good for super heavy samurais because you get to just target one machine type monster in your graveyard. So there's a lot of utility for this card to add a lot of good stuff. Next up, it's the Perform Pal TRUMPANDA. So its pendulum effect is that you can increase this card's pendulum scale by 1. So that's a once per turn effect. Its scale is 3. It doesn't really have that good stats, but anyways, its monster effect is when your pendulum monster is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack. You can only use this effect event once per turn. So it's a decent card just to keep itself alive in that monster effect because you can keep on negating an attack. But at the end of the day, is it going to be viable? I don't think you're going to realistically be able to increase this card's pendulum scale to 12 because that's going to be a lot of turns. That's 9 turns. Most Yu-Gi-Oh games don't last that long, especially if you're playing a pendulum deck. So I mean, it's kind of cool. It's got cool artwork, and some people are just collectors of cards. So that could be access to a card that collectors might want. And then lastly, we have the Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. So it's a level 5 with a scale of 1. Its pendulum effect is once per turn during the end phase. If your opponent activated a card or effect that target exactly one Odd Eyes pendulum monster this turn while you controlled that monster, you get to special summon this card from your pendulum zone. And if you do, place one face-up Odd Eyes pendulum monster from your extra deck in your pendulum zone, except for Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. So its monster effect is once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field that was special summoned from the extra deck and negate that face-up monster's effects until the end of this turn. So I feel like it's a decent card just because its scale is a 1. There's not that many super great cards that are scale of 1 at the moment. There might be like a few, but I still think it's nice just to have this specifically for the Odd Eyes archetype. But overall, I mean, none of these cards are going to be super game-breaking. I feel like the one that has the best potential is probably Junk Breaker. Again, what it allows you to do is if your opponent makes a board that's difficult to break, we have the new Dark Lords coming out, and, Christie is a thing, and, just normal summon that and negate all of the effects, and then you can go ahead and go off from there if you're playing, a deck that doesn't need its normal summon. So, as far as what I'm going to be voting for, I mean, personally for me, none of these cards really stand out, but the only one that I see being maybe potentially used in the game is Junk Breaker, and that's probably going to take my vote. So let's go ahead and vote for that Junk Breaker. So at the moment, Odd Eyes Persona Dragon actually has the most But anyways, that's my vote for it. Let me know what you guys are going to be voting for. Do you guys think any of these can be meta? I mean, maybe Junk Breaker, like I said, it has just the most potential to be seen in like some competitive scene in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But for the most part, they're pretty mediocre. I mean, you know, sometimes we get cards like you know, Librarian. We get some like game-breaking cards that like make and break different decks. But overall, it's pretty mediocre at the moment. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on all the cards, and let me know what you guys are going to be voting for down below in the comment section. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys give that like button a titty slap. I'm signing out.